Welcome to the Personal Pension Radio Podcast, where it's all about helping you complete your financial journey to retirement. Discover time-tested strategies and get unconventional insights into wealth building and retirement that actually work. Break away from the herd and go for the retirement you dream of. And now, here's your host, the income engineer, Kraig Strom.
All right, back on Personal Pension Radio. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for the all of the downloads, the questions. I really appreciate the feedback that's been coming in. Truly appreciate the support. And for those of you who sent me your best wishes, for that sad news, the loss of my mother-in-law, I do really appreciate the extra time you took to send me your thoughts, and I appreciate that. I really do. And let's just keep things on track here with Personal Pension Radio. You did hear it correctly. I am the income engineer. I do own the registered trademark as the income engineer. I love retirement income design. It really is something that is very akin to engineering and bringing together all the various different pieces of that retirement income puzzle. My mission really is to deliver that retirement dream that Wall Street has been promising all these years. Unfortunately, in order to do that, I have to pull back the curtain on this mainstream financial advice so that you can actually understand what's missing, so that you can understand what questions you really should be asking that you didn't even know were being unanswered. Questions like, what in the world is the 4% rule? What is sequence risk? Why do I have to worry about taking withdrawals? Can't I just rely on an average rate of return that certain financial entertainer promised me? Well, all of these things make up that mainstream financial mantra when it comes to retirement planning. And what I found as a financial planner and looking back on my years now, pushing 20 years, the advice and the education that I received was only halfway to maximum retirement income. It really didn't teach me what was necessary to help clients and help you achieve maximum retirement income. It was truly education that had been tailored by the Wall Street machine to benefit Wall Street. It really is one-sided. And my mission is to deliver that retirement dream that you might be thinking of, right? To have a lifestyle you can actually look forward to. But I'm here to tell you that in order to do that, you've got to be willing to break away from that mainstream advice. I told a story in a meeting last week, actually, and I haven't shared this in a while. It was of the calf path. And I've shared this before on my podcast, but it's just the general idea that herd animals, cows in general, but herd animals tend to get set in a distinct pathway that even though you might let an entire group of cattle head out into the wide open of your land or your property, they know to return back on this same basic path. And we as human beings, we tend to be pack animals in many ways. Also, we'll follow a certain pattern, a certain path. We'll just kind of get in line behind everybody else and we just follow along. And what has happened over the last 30, 40 years is that Wall Street has very carefully and done an amazing job at it, crafted our own calf path, our own path that this is the way you go to retirement. This is the way that you plan for your investments to have your retirement life someday. Unfortunately, I'm here to tell you that it was not fully correct. You've got to be willing to step off that path, change your direction sooner than later, and you can actually make a difference in your retirement income planning. So that's my mission. Now, a great question actually came up recently. I covered on my show, and I've got to make a point of it to be clear on this, that if you're thinking about retirement, great, but maybe you're thinking about some other area of your financial life. I want you to know the areas that I can help with so that as you're listening to this show, you can also be aware that, hey, maybe this is an area that I should ask Kraig about. So I cover everything in a 360-degree approach. I look at your financial life like it truly is completely connected, all of it tied together. So that means I can help for sure in that retirement income planning, that retirement planning mode, both pre-retirement and even if you're already retired and wanting more income. I help folks with IRA rollovers and Roth IRAs and 401ks. Investment account review. Oh, if you haven't had your investment accounts reviewed in a long time, after you listen to this episode, you might want to get a serious in-depth review. 401ks. I love the conversation around 401ks, setting up new ones, and evaluating existing 401ks. Life insurance is a big area that I can help with. I am a ninja when it comes to life insurance discussions. I love that conversation, and it is an expertise that is hard to find at my level. Disability income insurance, absolutely. Have you ever thought about what pays the bills to cover all of the other fun expenses that you spend money on? Well, that's your paycheck. And most of us don't have our paychecks insured. Disability insurance, long-term care planning, long-term care insurance, and just long-term care in general is an area that you might want to talk about personally. You might even want to talk about it for your parents. Now, it's a tough time of year to have that conversation, but don't be shy. Hey, mom, dad, what's your plan if something happens? Do you have long-term care insurance? Do you have some kind of a plan? Because you may not know it, but you might be their plan, right? Your guest bedroom downstairs might be mom and dad's plan. You better find out sooner than later. So those are all the areas that I can help with. I really have a very broad spectrum because I look at the world as a 360-degree connected puzzle, an engineering piece that has to be worked on, all of those things blended together. So keep that in mind. Now, quick disclosure before I jump in. I am not an attorney. I am not a certified public accountant. I am a certified financial planner professional. All that being said, with all the cool letters and numbers after my name and all the years under my belt, please don't act on things that you hear on this show as if you have heard advice for you specifically. Please meet with me. Have a go-to meeting. Have a webinar. Have a phone call. Talk through these things with a qualified financial planner. I hope it would be me, but meet with a qualified financial planner. I would encourage you to consider a certified financial planner, but please don't act on things that you hear as if they're advice, and especially please don't act on things you hear from financial entertainers like Dave Ramsey or Susie Orman or Jim Cramer on TV. I mean, these folks are not licensed and regulated to be monitored, to be giving out financial advice. Plus, even if they were, you don't know. It's not tailored for you yet specifically. So meet with a qualified financial planner first. Now, let's jump in. Watch Your Step is my first segment of the show. I've had this for a long time, and I've always kept it there, and I just like that. Watch Your Step. Now, this actually came up in one of my financial planning magazines. Now, these are magazines that would generally not be on your coffee table because you've got to be a financial planner or an investment advisor, and I have a number of subscriptions that come to my door. Well, this article actually caught my eye in my financial planning, financial advisor magazine, and it was an article about declining fees for investment firms. Declining fees, fee revenue going down. Well, that sounds good. I mean, initially, if you're the consumer, doesn't it sound good that the fees are going down? Well, I'm here to tell you that that's actually not necessarily a good thing. It doesn't mean that your fees will go down. It does mean a number of other things, but I want you to think about this. More government pressure to lower fees at the same time that the regulators are bringing more and more and more regulations to bear on advisors All of this together means that there's so many more hoops to jump through, and the more hoops you add for the advisory firm to jump through, what does that lead to? That's right. It leads to more expensive operations, which are paid for by fees. So it's this headbutt, right? We've got the regulators pushing more and more and more regulatory oversight, which causes more and more expense to follow with that oversight and all of those regulations. Now they want fees to be lowered as well. So what is the advisory firm to do? Well, declining fees means that investment-only advisors. Now, let me make sure to explain. Investment-only advisors need to be on the hunt for larger and larger accounts. Let me take a little sidetrack and just give you a reminder. I've talked about this on a previous episode, but a reminder of the three types of financial planners, or at least how they can get paid. So you've got one is the fee-only financial planner. A fee-only financial planner is just that. They say, for example, I only charge a fee, and that way I am not biased by products that might be sold. I'm not going to be biased by investments or life insurance or annuities. I only charge an upfront flat fee. Maybe every year I charge an updated fee. Well, the fee-only advisor obviously has a bias to go write more fee-only plans. And then you have the next type is a commission-based advisor. Now, these are advisors that might be paid a commission on life insurance or annuities, or they might earn a commission or an assets under management income based on the amount of investment account money you have with that advisor. Now, of course, the commission-only advisor might have a bias towards products or recommendations where we can make a larger commission, right? Then you have the fee-based advisor. The fee-based advisor says that if necessary, they will charge a fee to work with a client, but they can also recommend products and services and investments or life insurance or annuities, and receive commissions as their compensation. Now, that's actually where I fall. I fall in the fee-based category. I believe that if you work in a 360-degree approach, you're going to cover all the different areas of someone's financial life, which means, let me give you an example. If I recommend or go through a data gathering and investigation process, the full steps of financial planning, and I pull all of this to get data together and put together a path for a financial plan for income and retirement. Well, guess what? There's going to be a number of different recommendations along the way. So rather than charging a fee to make recommendations that you, for example, go and get an investment account or buy life insurance, right? I'm going to if I charge a fee to make the recommendations, well, doesn't that mean that you then have to go get the investment account or the life insurance, and someone gets paid a commission or a fee on the investment account, right? Well, why don't we just go get the life insurance or the investment account together, and I don't have to charge the same fee or the same level of fees up front. I can actually earn compensation on the recommendation that was going to happen anyway, you see. So a fee-only versus commission-only versus a fee-based financial planner, that's important to note that when you look at declining fees and what it means for you as the consumer, right, you have to look at it from this perspective, that if fees and the pressure is pushing fees down at investment firms, right, and investment advisor only or investment only advisors, right, those who manage investments and that's their primary revenue source, well, if their compensation is going down and pressure is being put on those advisors, what's a likely outcome? Well, it's exactly what's happened in the industry, which is those investment-only type firms that are really assets under management focused are looking more and more towards larger accounts. And they're actually pushing away people who have less than a certain amount of money. Now, I know advisors whose firms have basically told them anybody with less than $1 million, they need to be gone. Just gone. We won't work with them anymore. Anyone with less than $1 million, we won't work with them. You've got to get them to someone else. You got to move them, right? That they are pushing for larger and larger accounts, you see. So what this means for the consumer as declining fees becomes a serious reality is there's a good chance that less and less of the top-level financial advisors or financial money managers are going to want to work with you unless you have, $1 million, $2 million, $5 million in your investment portfolio, because they're getting pressure on fees and the cost associated with managing that money. So in many cases, they look at it like the larger the account, it's not that much harder to manage. So we make more money, even though our percentages are smaller, we'll still make the same amount if we focus solely on larger accounts, okay? So this brings up, it reminds me, I actually talked to a young lady. She is a real estate professional in Texas. And she was introduced to me by a friend of hers, and we got on the phone together, and I'd never met her before and never talked to her before. And as we went through the conversation, she had done very, very well in the real estate world. She's continuing to do well. She has $2-3 million in investment accounts, etc. She's doing pretty darn good. And she hit me with something, a question that I guess I'd never heard before. And it was this emphasis where she felt like she should work with a financial planner who had a similar net worth to her own. Now, her net worth was pretty significant because she had acquired real estate over the years. Now, her annual income was excellent for sure, but her net worth was actually in the multiple millions of dollars because of her real estate holdings. And she actually started asking about, how do I work with a financial planner who has a kind of a similar net worth to my own? And I said, well, based on your net worth and your net worth being driven largely by real estate, wow, you might have a hard time finding a financial planner who has the same net worth as you, who would actually take you on as a client. Okay, now let me explain. A financial planner's net worth is actually derived from the value, in many cases, of their investment portfolios, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this young lady, she was thinking that her real estate portfolio means that she should get access to someone with a similar net worth. And I had to let her know that it's probably not likely due to the size of her investment portfolio. Because her real estate was good, but her investments were actually less than $1 million. So less than $1 million in investment portfolio was going to mean that very unlikely she was going to find a financial planner who was going to take on her account, because most of her investments were in real estate, which is an area that an investment advisor is not going to make a percentage of assets under management. So that it was very unlikely that she was going to find someone at that level who would take her on as a client without charging her a pretty hefty fee only each year. And of course, that was a big eye-opener. She didn't realize that. And truth be told, she really didn't need any significant investment management advice. She needed some good, solid nuts and bolts advice that was very helpful to her. And we ultimately parted friends, and she had a new direction. she's really going to focus her efforts on her real estate career and her real estate investment because she understands that investment better than anybody in her world. And it was a huge eye-opener for her into my world in the investment side and financial planning side, so that she could realize that she actually didn't really have enough investment money to get her access to, the really big, huge financial planner type folks, because she just didn't have enough in the investment account, and they're not taking on those kind of accounts in many cases. So keep that in mind, that as you hear fees going down, it is not necessarily a great thing for the general public. Now, that is one of the big reasons that I believe strongly in being a fee-based advisor. A fee-based advisor, so that I am not stuck where I only can work with folks that have investments, where I'm assets under management, for example, where I have to have somebody that has a minimum account value so that I can charge a fee on those investment accounts. I understand that a 360-degree approach to helping clients means that we're going to get paid on a variety of different things working together. I'm going to get paid on a variety of different things. The investment advisor might get paid on the portfolio manager, and then I put on my annuity hat and I help with an annuity conversation. I can help with life insurance. I can help with all parts of the plan. A 360-degree approach means that the advisor doesn't have to lump all of their earnings into one area, like investments, for example. All right, so I'll get off my soapbox on that. Now, last week's show, I had a great question that had come through about introducing me as their financial planner. So whether they're as a podcast listener or one of my clients asking, hey, how do I introduce you? And just a quick reminder on that, go back and listen to the episode, but a great way to say it is, hey, my financial planner showed me something about retirement income that I did not know. I think you could benefit from meeting him. I'll make an introduction. Just be bold. And folks oftentimes will, okay, you can make the introduction that way. Or, I listened to this great podcast. You should check out this episode. I think you should meet this guy. I actually talked to him. He's a good guy, right? Just something straightforward, remembering that I help in areas of investments, life insurance, 401k, annuities, long-term care, disability insurance. I'm happy to help. If you want to make an introduction to a friend or family member, please don't hesitate. I'm looking forward to it. I really appreciate when those things come in. Now, last week I talked about, or I answered a question somebody sent in about helping my daughter buy a car. So I went through Used Car Shopping 101. I have to tell you, there's some really good insights in episode 146 on the used car world. And if you're in that kind of a market and you might want to pick my brain, so to speak, go back and listen to that. So, because I do have some good insider information in there. But this week I wanted to finish that up. I promised that I wouldn't leave it hanging. This is Used Car Buying 101. And it came up because I am in the process of helping my daughter hunt down a car. So I'm helping her hunt down a used car. And I have a car dealership license as a hobby. And it means that I've learned a lot. I've made a lot of mistakes, and I have some good inside information I can share. So this week I want to finish up on the idea of warranties and prices and negotiations. So a big one that comes up oftentimes, and I get this question all the time, is should I get a warranty with my used car? Okay. So if you can get the car you want well below the average retail price, you might consider then adding a warranty to the purchase. Now, I say that because if you're basically getting the car right at retail, and that means you might be getting a really good condition car, the warranty on top of that price in many cases is just way overpriced. You've got to shop those used car warranties very carefully. You really need to understand the fine print before you buy a warranty on the car. Now, that being said, when I flew to Texas to buy my used truck several years ago, I got a certified pre-owned vehicle. So that car came with a warranty from the manufacturer, and the warranty was definitely a handy thing to have. It was something that was definitely came in and financially saved my bacon a couple of times. So I'm a big fan, but I have to really stress this. You've got to get a great deal on the car first and then negotiate the warranty. You don't throw it in and just lump it all into one negotiation. I'll talk about that in a minute. Now, the warranty, keep this in mind, the warranty can be negotiated. Yes, you can negotiate the cost of the warranty. The warranty at a used car shop almost always is marked up by the used car shop. It is a profit item for a used car shop, just like financing is a profit item for a used car shop. Double check, okay, what is and what is not covered by the warranty. Do your homework and compare the reputation and Google info on the warranty company. So when you're asking about getting a warranty on a used car, very much the same as getting a warranty on electronics. Well, no, it's not. Warranty on electronics and appliances, almost always unnecessary. Almost always, okay? On a vehicle, on the other hand, it is something that you might want to consider because this is that thing that is going to get you from point A to point B, going to get you to work. And if it is broken, right, that broken vehicle might cost you your ability to easily get to work. Whereas, a broken TV, that doesn't affect your ability to get to work. You just might not be able to watch Game of Thrones, okay? So keep that in mind. Always remember, you can negotiate, in many cases, the cost of the warranty and the coverage on the warranty. Now, what about the price of the vehicle? Now, I have access to the car dealership auctions, meaning I can see what the national average auction prices are, where the dealers are buying those used cars from each other. I can see the average auction price for those cars. Now, that is not something that you as the general public have access to. However, you do have tons and tons of access to pricing nowadays. You have a lot of options to get the price scoop, if you will. My favorites, two, are autotrader.com and cargurus.com. Both have these really great price comparison tools. So, for example, AutoTrader is open to both consumers and to the dealership community, whereas Car Gurus is mostly car dealerships. Okay? AutoTrader will show you the high, the low, and the average price of that particular vehicle in your area. And Car Gurus will tell you how each car compares to the competition on the website. So you can really go in with a strong position. Now, don't forget, though, negotiating on price, you've got to remember in the previous episode, I talked about something called a floor line. Used car shops finance their cars on a floor line. Now, this reminds me, go back and listen to the last episode. If you're out there in the world of, cars, thinking about buying a car, go back and listen to the last episode for a little additional insight and a refresher. But now, on the price, okay, negotiation. I am a big fan of negotiating via email. There's so many cars available. There's no need to be driving all over the place. Find a couple of model vehicles that you like. Be open. Use an email address that you don't mind being spammed on. And that's what I do. I have an email address that's been forever, 18 years old probably, that it is my spam email. So I use that for these kinds of negotiations. I would give out that spam email address. Now, use email, okay? and make a reasonable yet aggressive offer. Remember, if you have seen that car, be patient. If you've seen that car for sale for 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, it's getting stale, and that used car shop has got to move that inventory. They've got to get rid of it, right? So make a reasonable, based on your comparisons, yet aggressive offer and leave it alone. Send the email, leave it alone, and then send another email, right? Be patient. If the floor line, remember how they finance their cars, is fresh, they may not bite. But if that floor line is stale and getting old, you might get a great offer back. You might just get a phone call. If you'd put in a phone number, you might get an email back. You got to remember to check that junk email. But negotiate the price via email first. Negotiate that first. And then you negotiate things like warranties. Now, financing is a big, big question. Financing is, what do I do? Well, my recommendation is get financed through your bank if you have a very good banking relationship. But I like to get financed through a credit union when possible. Credit unions just have a historical great record of used car financing, pricing, etc. And I financed, for example, last time through the Pentagon Federal Credit Union. They're very well known in the used car world. They're very favorable rates and it's very easy online. But there's 100 or 1,000 different credit unions and financial institutions. If your credit score is healthy, is good, get financed on your own. Make sure that you know your credit score before you start negotiating interest rates. And remember, used car shops with what's called buy here, pay here can also make extra money by marking up or charging up the interest rate to unsuspecting buyers. So if you have healthy credit, get pre-approved with a credit union or your favorite bank so that you basically have cash when you're negotiating via email on that car, okay? Now, that's going to be the end. I mean, you're probably thinking, we got to stop talking about cars, or some of you are thinking, let's keep going. That's going to call it quits for me on cars now. I get excited about this stuff. Hopefully by Christmas, I will have lined up a couple of good car options for my daughter because the snow is coming in there in Flagstaff. Now, next week, I am going to get back to financial 101 retirement planning conversations. We're going to talk about fixing a broken retirement plan. This is actually, according to the father of modern withdrawal rate economic theory, this should be a good one. I am doing that with a smiley, sarcastic face. Fixing a broken retirement plan on next week's episode. Now, remember, don't keep me a secret. Please share this podcast out. Thank you to those of you who have added new reviews. If you love this show, if it's one of your favorites, please tell the iTunes world that it is one of your favorite shows. It doesn't have to be the favorite show, but please leave a positive review on iTunes. It really does help when you leave reviews on iTunes. I completely appreciate it. It's not just for my psychological well-being. Now, someone asked me recently, is the eMoney offer still available? Yes, it is. If you want to try eMoney, which is a fantastic financial planning platform for cash flow planning, estate planning, data aggregation, your own secure vault, investment planning, all of that. If you'd like to try that for free, send me an email to Kraig@kraigstrom.com. Kraig with a K at kraigstrom.com, and the subject line, eMoney. And I'll set you up with that. And we've had a lot of people sign up for that. So you're welcome to get on board with that. It's usually only available to financial advisory practice clients. I make it available through my podcast to my podcast listeners as well as my fantastic clients. That's going to wrap it up today. I actually look forward to talking to you again on the next episode. Keep your questions and comments coming, good or bad. I love the feedback. It really does help. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you again for listening to the Personal Pension Radio podcast. If you missed anything during the show, that's okay. We took the notes for you. Check the show notes for links, offers, and a full transcript. And don't forget to head over to personalpensionradio.com and download your free retirement income report. While you are there, we would appreciate some iTunes love. Please leave us a fantastic rating on iTunes by going to personalpensionradio.com/iTunes. Thanks again for listening.
Now for the disclosure. Information presented is for educational purposes only and is not intended for solicitation, sale or purchase of any security or financial product. Be sure to first consult with a qualified financial advisor and your tax professional before implementing any strategy discussed here. The term personal pension refers to a marketing name designed to educate future retirees and retirees about the economic principles behind creating their own pension-like income. The term personal pension is not intended to be confused with a defined benefit pension plan offered by an employer or by a government entity.